compliance with these above provisions, I wish to inform the nominees that this is the reason you are appearing before this committee today to enable us to examine your credentials, seek your view and opinions on current issues bordering on law, IT strategic management and communication policy and regulations. Generally consider your stability for the position to which you have been nominated. The above will guide the committee on its presentation of the report to the Senate. We do hope that all the necessary documents like your CVs and credentials, Code of Conduct acknowledgement slip are all entered before the committee. On behalf of the committee, I wish you success and good luck in the screening exercise, and it is our hope that if your nomination is confirmed, your tenure in office will witness growth and progress of our communication sector of the economy. So I wish you good luck.
I was born on the 11th of May, 1969, from Ayetoro, Kogi State. I attended Model Primary School, Ayetoro, 1976 to 1982. Then Community High School, where I obtained my West African School certificate, and proceeded to the University of Ibadan, where I studied electrical engineering and came up with first class in electrical engineering in the year 1994. I did my youth service in Port Harcourt in a company called Unisys Inlax Computers, where I was retained after service and worked for another 8 years, where I agreed to become the regional manager before joining the Nigerian Communications Commission in the year 2004. I've been in the NCC ever since then, as starting from the rank of the manager, and became the director, Spectrum Administrations, after working in different departments, including information technology, traffic and network optimization, engineering, and so on. Up till my nomination, was the Director of Spectrum Management at the NCC.
My name is Rimini Haraya Makama. I was born in Jos, Plateau State. I am from Mongu local government, from a small village called Gindri. I had my formative years in Jos, where I attended primary school in Jos, and I also completed my secondary school in Jos and my university education in Jos, where I studied law and graduated with an LLB before proceeding to the Nigerian Law School, where I graduated and was qualified as a barrister and solicitor from Nigeria. After that, I did my NYSC in the Karu Local Government Legislative House before I proceeded for my master's in the United Kingdom, where I studied international law and world order. Shortly after I completed my master's, I joined the International Criminal Police Organization, Interpol, as a junior lawyer, where I worked in the Office of Legal Affairs, before returning to Nigeria to work as a communications director in a strategy firm called Africa Practice, where we brought foreign investment into Nigeria. Some of my formative clients at the time included BlackBerry, who we introduced to the country. After that, I joined Microsoft, where I was Government Affairs Director for Nigeria and Ghana, and shortly after became promoted to the Government Affairs Director for the region, covering the emerging markets, including Pakistan, Jordan, a few other markets minus South Africa and the whole of Africa. After a few years, I was moved to the office in the United States, where I joined the Xbox team, focusing on market expansion for Xbox technology before returning back to Nigeria.
Mr. Sunday Abraham, I'm happy to observe that you have been in the system. That is, You have been in the NCC for over 16 to 20 years. And now that you are elevated to the rank of a commissioner, what are you going to do differently to ensure that the telecommunication sector in Nigeria improved tremendously? Right now, a lot of complaints about drop calls, irregular service from the service providers.
3 key areas that myself and the current management team of the NCC will do something different from what it has always been. The first area is addressing the general challenge that everybody has, which is the quality of the services that we get. So going forward, our attention now is on the quality of experience. We are shifting from just quality of service to quality of experience. What we mean is that the consumers, it is their experience that we use to judge if the operators are doing well or not. So basically, it is what we consumers, including myself, who is also a consumer, it is what we experience that we will now use to measure the performance of our operators, not just data or metrics from them that does not translate to what the people on the streets are experiencing. And to do that, everybody in the value chain of providing service in the telecom industry will go forward, be held responsible. It is not just to say, MTN, your service is bad. Who are the other contributors to providing service that we enjoy? It includes people that maintains even the tower that is used to provide services, even up to the one that is supposed to deliver diesel or power supplies to ensure that the base stations are running all the time. So everybody will now be accountable going forward. So the quality of experience that we have or that we enjoy is what we now want to focus more on. One other important thing that we'll do is localizing services and products in Nigeria. Most of the time, we'll see that the devices that we use to communicate, they are all from outside the country. We need to develop the capacity to be able to produce this locally, employing our own citizens, and also ensure that the value of our currency is given strength, because we won't need to be depending on importation all the time. We won't be able to ensure that most of these products and services are localized in Nigeria, and there's capacity to do so. So we are going to focus on that. Then thirdly, we are also going to focus on consumer education and sensitization. The consumers need to also understand how the system works, to understand how, if you buy a data, how does it work? If I'm on a 5G network, I need to understand how does it work? What does it translate to in terms of the data that I am using? So these are areas that I personally, together with the executive team members of the NCC, will be focusing on.
What is NCC doing on behalf of the citizens? And are there penalties for that, those call drops that we've been receiving?
Yes, there's penalty, but I'm happy to say that we are now looking at how efficient and effective this penalty has been. There is a new quality of service regulation that is already in progress that makes it unattractive for somebody to just provide service and go along thinking that nothing will happen, because if your penalty for providing a service is something you can put on in your pocket and pay, it won't matter to you. But now it's going to be very more stringent to ensure that you won't be able to say, I would rather provide this skeletal service. Even if they penalize me, I will be able to handle it. Now, the penalty will now be more stringent and very serious for all those providing service. And everyone in the value chain will also be included. The people providing tower services, the people providing power services, all of them will also, if they are lacking in any of their area of responsibility, will also face penalty. That has not been the case in the past. But going forward, everybody that is part of the process of providing telecom services will be penalized for not meeting up their own obligation. Then on digitization, what will be done to ensure that activities and services improve? Like I mentioned, it's a bit tied to the first question. Accountability by everybody who is providing service in Nigeria, who is contributing to the provision of service in Nigeria, the tower providers, everybody that is responsible to ensure that we have good quality of service will be responsible. And we are using data to check up to the most granular level, almost up to 1 square kilometer going forward. Every part of Nigeria will can zoom in and say, within 1 or 5 kilometers square meter, what is the level of service that is available there? Who is responsible for providing this service? Who is not doing what he is supposed to do? We are not going to be having visibility to such information, and it will help us to be able to ensure that everybody gets value for their money. That is a key area of focus for us. I think that possibly have, all right, the issue of tariffs, yes, we know that many sectors have been increasing tariffs, but in the telecom industry, our focus is ensuring that there is value for every penny that individuals are paying. So tariff will be tied into the value that we are getting. But to be very specific, our focus is on ensuring that we get value before you even ask for any other thing. So right now, our focus is to ensure that all providers, all service providers within the value chain give us value for what we are paying for. Then, after that, we can talk about any other thing that comes thereafter. But our focus now is not on that, it's not on tariff, but it's on value for money. Thank you, sir.
Promoting him to the position of a commissioner, you know, when you have a round peg in a round hole, you are going to have a good result. So I want us to give him a small passage, and I can stand for him. And also recommending that we do same for the others that are before us, being considered for similar position.
How do you relate in community-wise supporting your people at your level as a senior person in any system at all, trying to alleviate the suffering of people in view of the current happenings in that area? Thank you.
As you've noted, we've faced a lot of challenges in the North Central, particularly in Plateau State, since September 2001. Indeed, I was caught up in the first crisis which happened there, and one of the ways we were saved was via communications, when NITEL was still working and we could still make calls to inform our families that we were trapped in university. As a result, I'm fortunate to be in this position now where we are focusing on enhancing communication, which we can use to save people in times of security challenges, and it will be a focus for what we do going forward. I've worked a lot with women and girls in ICT, in mentorship positions, to encourage them to participate in technology and know that they don't have to be engineers in order for them to work in technology or telecoms, and that's something I do daily.
Management of people is very difficult. What is the largest number of people you have had to manage in the course of your career? Because now, when I see stakeholders stakeholders management. It could be 50, it could be 100, it could be 1,000, it could be 10,000. You meet different people. That on its own is a huge task.
On joining Microsoft Nigeria, I was part of the senior leadership team and led and grew that team before moving on to become part of the West African Leadership Council for Microsoft Engineering and Microsoft Sales as well. One of my first roles in Nigeria was managing the communications team for Africa Practice as well, which had quite a number of people which I recruited and brought into the team.
Telecom carriers, to some of us consumers, are raping us. Raping in the sense that they charge us unnecessarily even when there are drop calls. They charge us when we get unsolicited messages, and they seem to be getting away from it. I mean, they seem to be getting away with it. What is the management that you are coming to join? What are you going to contribute in bringing an end to this thing that Nigerians are facing?
That is a focus for us right now at the NCC. We realize that there are lots of challenges around how consumers view data usage. And we are working with the network operators to ensure that there is clear communication as to what is actual usage and what is perceived usage. We are streamlining the tariffs. We're streamlining promotions as well to ensure that people know what they have paid for and what they have been given for free. These are the things that we need to focus on to ensure that there's clear consumer protection so that our consumers do not feel that they are being cheated and they are getting value for their money. My colleague has spoken extensively on quality of service. It's something that we are focused on in the last 3 months to ensure that both telcos, the telcos and the operators are held accountable and they are held to a higher standard to ensure that we give Nigerians a better quality of service and we stop having issues around drop calls.
There's something that bothers me a lot. That is the fact that we seem to operate freely in Nigeria without restrictions. Many of the social media platforms, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or X or whatever they're called, you are aware that they do not have offices in Nigeria. Are you not in support of such bodies having offices in Nigeria? For the following reasons. One, if they have offices in Nigeria, as they do abroad, if you go to UK or go to France or Germany or elsewhere, they all have offices. They're all mandated to have offices there. You cannot be operating in a country where you don't have any accountability. So if Facebook has an office here, it will create jobs for Nigerians. That's number one. Number two, they will have the responsibility of paying taxes for whatever business they are generating. Number three, they will be easily reachable. In the event of a litigation, you know that they have an office where they can be served. Unlike now, if there's any fake news or whatever it is on Facebook, you have to literally engage a lawyer in America to be able to reach them. So your lawyer here will have to engage a lawyer in America, and it's very costly. And then maybe lastly, if they are operating in Nigeria here, you know very well that there will be this aspect of transfer of technology, because they will train and retrain and give opportunities to our young ones. So don't you think that NCC should be pursuing a mandatory office for all these bodies in Nigeria?
offices in Nigeria. I believe in the past 5 years or so, we have seen an influx of them, more and more coming in. Facebook has an office now in Nigeria, and I think a few more are coming. In the interactions that we do have with the international organizations, we do always urge them to make steps to come to Nigeria, and we have seen some signs of commitment of that happening. One of them you will see is a licensee, which is Starlink, the satellite provider. They're making moves to have a local presence in Nigeria.
I think those who are not in listen, they can leave the listen.